The big story today is Hurricane Beryl rapidly intensifying to a Category 4 hurricane to the east of the Lesser Antilles. Here it is on satellite this evening. Very compact hurricane, but well organized. You can see that eye there on infrared satellite. This thing is heading towards the Windward Islands, where it is expected to bring catastrophic impacts during the day on Monday. This thing has been breaking records all day. This is the strongest June hurricane on record, breaking the record held by Hurricane Audrey in 1957. This is also the first Category 4 hurricane on record in the Atlantic during the month of June. It's also the furthest east hurricane in the Atlantic during the month of June. And also, this is the first recorded major hurricane east of the Caribbean during the month of June. So this storm has been breaking records and will likely continue breaking records in the coming days. Here it is on satellite this evening as the sun sets. You can see that stadium effect there into the eye. This is a very powerful storm as it moves off towards the east. Right now, carrying winds of 130 miles per hour. So Beryl is still a Category 4 hurricane as of the 5 p.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center. Heading into tomorrow, this is going to pass somewhere near St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and then heading into the middle parts of the week, becoming a Caribbean cruiser, passing somewhere near Jamaica on Wednesday as a powerful Category 2 hurricane. And then as we head towards the end of the week, somewhere in the general vicinity of the Yucatan, though there is a ton of uncertainty once you get out to that part of the forecast. So interest in the Gulf of Mexico, we'll have to keep an eye on Beryl heading into next weekend. Let me show you why. There's a big spread with the computer models by next weekend, with tracks down to Mexico and then all the way back up into Louisiana. So there's a lot of uncertainty this far out. And this is pretty typical 7 days out, but you can see why when you look at the steering pattern. Hot area of high pressure over the U.S. is going to break down over the next several days. By the time we get to the end of the week, a trough digging down to the Great Plains, bringing a cold front down. And meanwhile, there's Beryl in the western Gulf of Mexico. If this high breaks down a little bit, it could allow for a more northerly track into maybe Texas. But if it's a little bit stronger, it would send Beryl right into Mexico. So we'll be watching the trends very closely. Beryl's not the only game in town, though. We're watching newly formed Tropical Depression 3 in the Gulf of Mexico. That's going to move into Mexico tonight. And then behind Beryl, another disturbance that has a high chance of development over the next 5 days as it moves in the general direction of the Caribbean. So here's Tropical Depression 3 spinning in the Bay of Campeche this afternoon. Hurricane hunters went in there and found that this is a depression, and you can see it has a lot of thunderstorms with it. It does have a brief window to become Tropical Storm Chris before making landfall later on tonight. Either way, heavy rain and flood threat for Mexico. Lots of mudslides possible down there, so we'll be monitoring that. And then meanwhile, out in the Atlantic, there's another disturbance. This has been dubbed Invest 96L. Not very organized at the moment, but conditions are favorable for this to become a depression over the next several days as it moves off in the general direction of the Lesser Antilles. And by the time we get towards the end of the week, we could be talking about yet another storm in the Caribbean. So the Atlantic, unusually busy for the month of June, to say the least. Looks more like the peak of hurricane season. Next two names on the list are Chris and Debbie. We'll keep you posted on that here in Fox 4.